Hello everyone, how are you? I was walking along the beach and I got this message to share this audio, I guess. Hope you can hear with the wind, but it's actually about a topic I don't really talk about that much, and that is twin flames. And are they real? Are they not real? What does the word mean? Is it indoctrinated? Is it something that has been a sacred word, but then society and the psychopaths that are trying to derail the world and stunt our enlightenment, have they put a spin on it? There's lots of information out there, so I was guided to do this little audio to help some people out there through the decades of my experience and gathering experience, but more so my own personal experience, and in lots of different ways. Okay, and what I've seen from when I started this, that was on the internet, on social media, all the information, as opposed to then how it changed, how it twisted things, how it twisted people's interpretations, perspectives, and then how it led a whole new kind of twin flame community in a different direction. So if you have had this experience, or you're searching for your person, whatever, I just thought I would share a few nuggets of my wisdom here, and so you can take what resonates, or leave it, or whatever you're doing. So and I've got my little doggy with me, Charlie, at the moment, and everybody's walking past on the beach and looking at how beautiful he is. He is gorgeous. He's a little white Maltese. Everyone thinks he's a puppy, but he's actually nearly 15, so it's kind of crazy that people say, oh, he's a little puppy, and I say, no, he's actually not. But anyway, so back to that. So twin flames is a word I don't use anymore, because over many years it has been very much infiltrated and moved in a different direction. So I do like to use, I use different words now. I don't really label anything, but it's your divine connected partner. It can be your one, it can be your divine soul, one soul partner, whatever you choose to call it. So there is lots of talk out there about whether they exist, whether they don't exist. Are they just here to move us on with our own enlightenment, with our own growth, our spiritual growth? And so I'm just going to share some updates. So they very much do exist. I don't tend to use the name twin flames anymore because of how society have changed it and manipulated it. But there are lots of perspectives out there on it, and I'm going to give you the higher perspective. So there are definitely people that jumped on the wagon and thought that this person was my divine other, and went with that, and then when they found that actually was a toxic karmic or a narcissist or whatever, they labelled that twin flame label, or the one, as that, and that wasn't actually, that was what they thought their experience was, but they were actually not in a soul connected relationship or partnership. So there is all of that kind of collective energy group where they've actually not met their correct or person, put it that way, what they would label their twin flame, but they're saying they did, and they're, in their words, awful experience, deemed the whole thing to be a shit show, and the whole thing to be, not authentic, and it was just made up, and they're not real. And so there's a lot of people out there on YouTube and stuff that will say they don't exist, twin flames don't exist, they've been indoctrinated. And that is true to a point. It has definitely been infiltrated for that reason. So when I say these things, just picture yourself as, because way back in the day when I first was led to that, and I met my divine partner, my divine masculine, 5 years before I ever knew the word twin flames. So I was probably very lucky in the sense that we had no idea that they existed or anything like that connection existed. We'd only heard of soulmates. So we were kind of very privy, I guess you could say, that we had 5 years of experiencing what it truly feels like and is like, and the ups and downs too, in terms of, you know, the triggering, the mirroring, all of that, because they say, a lot of people out there say your twin flame is not a person, it's yourself. Well, that's a perspective, and that is truth. So from different perspectives, they're all true, because your twin flame is actually you, or your divine person. Again, I don't like to use that name, but so that I reaching the people in how I'm translating this, I will use that sometimes. So your divine other partner that you're here to do life with, and especially the original lot of souls, we are here for a greater purpose, not a better purpose, as in terms of we're not any better than anybody else, but it's just our role that we've come back for, right? And so we bring master codes to help the planet shift, ascend into a higher consciousness. Some people call it New Earth, the Golden Age, whatever the labels are. But that's what's happening. And so these powerful divine couples are here to shift that, to transcend a lot of and transmute a lot of the old, so to become into the new. And we're very powerful when we're together. The energetic fields just light up incredible. And some of us original ones, and again I say that not from a hierarchy at all, I don't look at it that way, but that's our role that we've come back to do, because we are older original souls. And so some of us, in our full balance and present state of unconditional love together, we will illuminate that light out, and for some people it would be hard to be around us if they haven't done any healing work. They're still very much rooted in the 3D programming, wounding, trauma, all that sort of stuff. So we have to, as individuals and couples, go through this ourselves, obviously, to heal ourselves, transcend our trauma, not just from this lifetime, but from many lifetimes, but also the collective trauma as well. So those of us that are the older original souls, part of the 144, some people say the chosen ones, all of that, we are here to do very much, masterful things. I'm saying this in a way where I'm not coming from a hierarchy. It's just our role on the planet at this time. That's what we've come back to do, and we know that in our heart and soul, and it's very sacred to us. So we don't enjoy it when people try and diss that or say it's not true, it's not real. And I get that's probably from their experience, because they're not one of us, right? They're not part of the whole awakening team, I'll put it that way, that have come back to do that. And that's why you will find many people, if you follow people online, that are really true and set in what their soul path and mission and knowing is, because you'll know if you're part of that. You'll know if you're part of the 144 original. You'll just know. And people say, how do you know? And if you have to ask, then you're not one, which is fine, because it doesn't mean you're not here as a light worker of another sort to help with Earth and the ascension process. So that's all fine too, but we're all here for different roles, and that's why I think social media can take people down a path of everyone tries to copy everyone else, or thinks they've got to be that as well, but they don't. You've got to follow your heart and soul and what really aligns with you, okay? So you might watch someone and they might be helping you on your ascension path, opening your awareness to things, and truly helping you in spiritual growth, and that's fantastic. But always come back to you. If they say something that doesn't resonate with you, just go, yeah, okay, well, I don't resonate with that part. So, for instance, I'll give you an example, and then I will get back to my experiences with my divine beloved. But I follow someone that is very, very next level with her wisdom, her knowing, her transmissions, massively, and I resonate with a lot of what she says, probably 90%. But there's some things that she says that I do not resonate with, and when I see it straight away, I see that it's not necessarily wrong what she's saying, it's the way she is interpreting it. It's the same as when we're a reader. We get information, we can read energy, we can read the timelines, we can show people and tell people, okay, well, these are the type of timelines that are surrounding you. Ultimately, everyone has free will and they choose their path and timeline at that time. But we can see as energy readers, right? So it's the same as that sort of thing. We can read, we can see something, and we have to bring that energy in and interpret it from an English or a physical human version for someone to understand. And most times we might get it right, but sometimes we might interpret it a little bit different, and then it actually is the information that we see it's coming is it might pan out a little bit different than what we interpret it. So our human mind has to kind of dissect it and interpret it to be able to speak it. And sometimes I hear the things that she says, this lady that I follow, and I think, okay, yeah, I can see why you're saying that, but I can also see your interpretation of it. So anyway, getting back to the twin flame label, so that particular label and that whole indoctrination of that has been very infiltrated in I don't know if I'd say a negative way, but just a very disconnected way. And that's not what connections are about, right? It's to bring us all back to our connected selves, to bring connection and unity in the world, with everybody and in every way. So until we stop segregating and disconnecting and coming from duality, well, then we're not going to all be in the, come through to that unity ascension space. So again, perspectives, there's just some higher perspectives, that's all. And where people are at that present time is their perspective of it, and then they will ascend and reach a higher perspective, just like I have done too with many things over the decades of my spiritual growth and ascension path. So it's my little doggy sneezing. So getting back to our divine beloveds. So when we say the twin flames, in your heart the connection you have, and you can't read it online or whatever, but a very interesting story and experience I'm going to share with you. So back in 2015, it was probably many years. So I said the first 5 years, I had met my partner, my divine partner, my one soul connection, whatever you want to say, however you want to say it. My divine masculine. We, as I said, we had known each other 5 years before. I was kind of in my heart going, oh my God, what the fuck is this? It's amazing, it's all of this, but then everything was coming up for me, and I was very much in my masculine energy for a female. I was very feminine in lots of other ways, but I was in my masculine energy a lot. I was very independent. I had a lot of wounds and traumas. I didn't even know what they were. I didn't even know what shadow work is or inner child work or any of that. I'm like, yeah, what's that? I wasn't an ascension coach or spiritual mentor or inner child. I do call myself an inner child sort of expert in lots of ways now. In all ways, because I trained and coached and, all of that. I'm not going to go into all that now, but I did that for years. And then I was an international certified coach for many years. But before all that, I didn't know anything about that. So I was, the mirror, he was shining the mirror on everything for me to heal. And I kind of, there was half of me that knew that it was there, and I was facing it, and the other half that I wasn't facing, and I'm like, what the fuck is this, and I was running, and I was saying things I shouldn't have been saying, and I was in my neediness state, and just being awful sometimes to him, not meaning to, but then beating myself up for being awful and the things I said, and so then hating myself on what I was saying, right, because they're the mirrors to us, right, and you'll find that what you're going through, they're going through as well. If it is your true divine partner, and not somebody that you have tried to make your true divine partner because you love them and you want to be with them, it has to come from your heart and soul, your soul, and whether they are or not. Okay, so when you're in one of those connections, those beautiful divine connections, because you are each other, there is so much that is shown to you and comes to the surface. And like I said before, when I talked about what we're here to do, you can understand fully and understand fully why all of that has to be personally healed before moving into any type of union, partnership, anything like that. So that was all coming up. Anyway, and originally there was true information on the internet about exactly what mirrors, what a divine partner is, how you share the same things, all that sort of stuff. And so when I was directed to that, I knew in my heart and soul. It was like the piece I was reading was like someone had followed us around for 5 years and written all this stuff on us, as in exactly, because it's, it was exactly what we had experienced, exactly what I had experienced, but also, I can't share and speak for him of what he experienced, but I mean exactly in terms of things that we had alike in our life, right down to the favourite foods we had, all sorts of things. Same names of people in our family, there was a whole list of things. Anyway, and I have done a video on this way back years ago, but so I knew that what I was reading was us, but what happened is in 2015, I wasn't realising that everything was becoming so indoctrinated, and there was I was running an online private Facebook group at that stage, and it was about divine connections, and I was helping people, and I was running it with another person as well, another female, and we were having conversations in there. But prior to that, I was in several what were named Twin Flame Facebook groups, and I was reading a lot of stuff of people's experience, and I'm like, actually, that doesn't sound like us. That doesn't sound like what we've, these women in there saying things, and I thought I could never, ever feel that way about my divine partner. I could never say that stuff about him. I could, and I realised that there was a lot of people that had really misinterpreted the label. And then I opened my own group to help women that really truly knew, like myself, that they were in divine connections, and then like authentic divine connections. And I said in 2015, I was doing a lot of planetary healing work with my higher self and my higher guides and spirit. I was working with the Arcturians a lot, the 12th and 13th dimensional Arcturians, and I just said to my higher self, actually, I don't believe, because I won't mention his name, that's my divine partner, and I don't think we are twin flames, because we're not like all this stuff that is said, and not even all this stuff that's said, but all these experiences that these people were having, ours feels like a very different, deeper connection that is rooted in incredible soul connection and deep, deep love. And I said, and I just don't feel that what we're experiencing is, this. And so I said, I don't think we are. I said, so what are we? And what I received from my higher self is this, basically what I'm sharing, that that a lot of it had been infiltrated and indoctrinated, and we actually were the original, what was called twin souls, twin flames, but the answer I received was that we are one soul connected entity, one soul divine couple. And so from then on, I've kind of used that word, I suppose, if I've had to explain it, and I was shown the difference. That and that's when my higher self showed me, and we went into that we're original couple, and I was shown to get a notepad and a pen, a big notepad and a pen, and draw. And I'm not a good drawer, and I'm fine to admit that. I'm a little bit of a crappy drawer, but I don't mind if it's stick figures, and I do my best. So anyway, I was guided to and I drew this whole thing that they showed me, and all the oversouls. That's when I first had heard anything about our oversouls, all sorts of stuff, the monads, everything, and taking it right up to the 144. And I think I have done this before, but I can share the drawing again and how it all pans out and how we get to the 144,000. But there's an original set of couples, and what we've come back here to do, and how the splintered, so the soul connections, the originals that have then splintered off in terms of reproduced, splintered off souls, they come down, and that's when you do get spiritual connections and couples, but they're not the original, and that's what I was shown, the original deep. So the original deep soul connected couples, the deep love is what I'm trying to say, is quite different, and it'll also it's because it's a lot more intense when you're also being shown the mirror and healing yourself. It's a lot more intense, so that's why sometimes it can go on for years, because if one or both don't want to look at their wounds and look at working. And if basically, I guess, if they even, well, you know it because you feel it, but if you're in resistance to it, and you go the other way, we have free choice, and if we free will, and if we go the other way and run from it, then we're not choosing to do our inner work and healing. We might to some degree, because all right, darling, I'm coming. Because every time we have some shifts, I better wrap this up because he's getting a bit antsy. But every time we have, obviously, the shifts in higher frequency vibration, portal openings, all that sort of stuff, there's a part of us that is then sent into our darker shadows to heal even more. So that does happen. But it's up to the individual person, and the female does lead in this part of the deeper she goes, the more it will awaken her masculine. She's the magnetic energy, so the deeper she can go and do her clearing work and come into that higher state of consciousness and divine love. Have a listen to him. Are you barking? You want attention. He's distracting me, sorry guys. So the more that we do that, the more that we then do shift ourselves, we shift in our connection, and we shift our divine partners. So hang on, let me just get up here and take into the water. So yeah, so it definitely, I guess the basics of what I'm trying to say is that divine couples definitely, absolutely exist, 1,000,000,000,000,000,000%. You will know in your heart and soul, so don't listen to other things that are on the internet. If you do get tripped up, because I have at times listening to people saying things like, some people say they don't exist, right? Some people say they exist, but they're just here to mirror you, to help you do your work, which is absolutely true as well. Other people say that that's all they're here for, you're not meant to be together. Well, that's not true. And if you're here with your divine beloved and you've found them and you're doing this work, then you are absolutely here to be together. And those people, unfortunately, have followed the path of the narrative that has been infiltrated, because when these couples come together, the shifts to the planet, ascension, the awakening to other people, just embodying their full, they don't have to be perfect, but just to be embodying that together in balance. Again, don't have to be perfect. It's more an beautiful compassion and unconditional love and understanding together, and expressing crystal clear communication, not being afraid, not being in fear of opening up, of opening their heart, of being vulnerable, all that. And you're just doing it together. You don't need to be sharing that with the world even. That when you're doing that together, that vibrates out to to the world. And what I was shown back in 2015 when I was having this really intense conversation with my higher self and crew is that we actually don't have to do anything, but the ripple effect, like we don't have to be around thousands or hundreds of thousands of people for that ripple effect to help them awaken or shift in consciousness. We just being together, that ripple effect comes out energetically and vibrationally. So when you have your true divine partner here with you, even if you're not physically with them, you're always doing energetic work together. And I know people read that and go, oh yes, but I want the physical. And and we are here to do the physical too, absolutely. But just know that you're not wasting I don't know if wasting time is the right thing, but you're not, obviously to shift and do it quicker is great, because then if you've shifted enough to be in the physical union to then vibrate that frequency out, well, then you are shifting humanity quicker than obviously waiting years. But also just know that energetically you're doing that work together, and you're always in telepathic communication. You're always feeling each other's energy, vibration. You might just feel you're in a great mood, and everything's amazing. Then all of a sudden your energy shifts like someone switched on a light, and you go, what the hell was that? And just know that it's your connected partner. And if you haven't met them yet, but you're here with somebody, well, then that's the same thing. It's just you don't have to have met them to feel them energetically and what's going on in their lives. So I've had some incredible experiences, plane going over. I've had some incredible experiences that I could share. Gosh, I could write a book on the experiences that we've had, and when we weren't physically talking and energetically, and we might have just been either not communicating or communicating via social media in terms of, or sending each other songs, or looking at what each other's posting on social media. There's been times where it was just so intense that's how we communicated. And we might not have even been physically having that communication, but there is things like I would say in my head, why don't you post this, right? And we could have been, I don't know, thousands of miles apart, him on one side of the country and me on the other, and in my head I was talking to him telepathically and saying, why don't you post this? And 2 hours later, an hour or two later, he's posted it on his social media page. So stuff like that just would happen a lot. And he's been for a walk, but he wants to go for another one. Stuff that would happen like that just became second nature to me. I don't know if he ever did it, but I can only speak for myself and what things happened with me. And that's just one example. Like, there was tons of other examples of things that happened. So Charlie, hang on just one sec, guys. So you'll know in your heart and your soul, you'll definitely, like I've had pain. I've had pain when he's had pain, and I haven't known what the pain's from. I've even gone to the extent of gone to the hospital and had tests, and they couldn't find anything. And then I found out that he was in hospital with this pain, or he was, he had something going on. And so it's these are things that your higher self, you both share the same. They're always working together. Your higher self's always working, together with you in the physical, as a physical body, to come closer, and to work closer together and come into that physical union. Everything is really divine, pure love and light. Or, I'm not one of these, it's all love and light or anything like that. But come on, Charlie. So everything is all divine light and compassion and understanding and unconditional love, and in the sense that that your higher self, you'll get pushed, absolutely. You'll get pushed to the limit. But at the end of the day, it is we do have free choice here. And so we action things as humans. You know, our mind jumps in a lot. And so the more that you can really come into your heart and practice that every day, coming into your heart, and practice really elevating to a higher consciousness of seeing the different perspectives that play out, and not saying, oh, you're right and you're wrong, but seeing that, okay, from one perspective, you're right, because that's where you might be in your consciousness. But then when you elevate in your consciousness, you see, oh, wow, okay, now I see a higher perspective. And so this is what happens. This is spiritual growth. This is spiritual ascension. This is when you come back connecting more to your heart and soul, more to yourself, doing your inner work, tons and tons of healing and doing inner work. But at the same time, don't stop life. Like when I say healing, like releasing fears. Fears, there's only love and fear is the big one, you know. So the more you can, that encompasses every part of everything that is stopping you from ascending and living your true potential, your true soul mission, and coming into your heart and living from that space, but obviously with discernment. So yeah, I say discernment as in, you know, not from a place of letting people walk over you or control you, or being in any type of control or narcissistic relationships or anything like that with other people, but just knowing, and that comes back to self-love and not self-sabotage. It comes back to yourself, like putting yourself first in terms of your soul leading you, and knowing what feels right for you, what feels aligned for you. You know, the sun's coming out now. It's so beautiful. You can hear the waves washing a bit more now because there's a big cargo ship that's out in the bay there that's gone past, and it's created a lot of waves. All right, darling, we're going now. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I was inspired to share those messages today. I was inspired to, you know, help those that really get confused with the narratives out there. And if you're writing something on social media and someone's dissing it, like about whether you do label it twin flames or whatever you call it, don't get disheartened and think, oh, am I just imagining this? Am I not really feeling this? Because there's lots of people that will try and do that and derail you, particularly if your divine beloved is with someone else or doing something else, or, you know, obviously they don't want it to be true, and it's not a nice thing for them, you know. But you cannot stop your own path and soul growth just because maybe your beloved or has made that choice. And just know that if they've made a choice like that at that time, and that's where they are currently, just know that that can definitely be temporary, but also know that you yourself are in a space where you might not be with someone, but there will be some type of karmic situation going on in your life, because everything's mirrored. It could be a codependency to family, or it could be them being codependent on you. It could be you not following your own true path, your own true north. Do you know what I mean? Your own soul. You might have a ton of other stuff going on that's not partner related, that is still blocking that, and both of you will just play out that role differently, okay? Because that's another narrative I see online when people say, well, I'm not with someone but they are, so that's not mirrored. No, it's not mirrored. It doesn't have to be exactly mirrored that way, but you could be married to your job. You know, you could spend 1 million hours in your job a week. You could spend a lot of time looking after a family member, or a lot of time being distracted doing something else. And that is so everything's energy, right? So it doesn't have to play out exactly in the physical the same way. So that's where your karmic is. Do you know what I mean? So it's all very all right, we're going now. So, I have talked about this quite a lot, but the last few years I probably haven't talked about it a lot. If anybody is listening to this, I don't actually really offer personal sessions anymore, and that's definitely not why I was doing this, but I just had a thought then, if anybody does want to know more or is struggling, or, you can actually put a comment and reach out, and I'm happy to do a session with you. I just kind of, work in other fields these days in terms of, I've come more into full-time writing, and so that's where I've kind of directed my attention, and I knew this. I was shown actually when I was 15 that I would become a full-time writer, and so at the time I was like, really? I didn't even know if I liked writing then, but that's what my higher self told me when I was 15. And so I guess it's taken many, many years, but that's where I am now. So I do write a lot of conscious content. I write, just for those that are interested, all right, we're going in a minute, Charlie. I write screenplays, movies, and books, and I'm doing some children's books at the moment on higher consciousness and things like that. So anyway, but so just know in your heart when it comes to your divine partner, they are absolutely real. They do absolutely exist. There's a lot of interference in this world from other people and the psychopaths that are trying to run the world, and there's a lot of that indoctrination and become social narratives that people don't understand because they're in a lower consciousness, and there's lots of that will really try and derail you and try and make you think that, or question. But in a sense, again, when you look at it from a higher perspective, if you can be derailed, if you listen, if it sends you off path, well, all it's telling you is that you're not ready yet, because you have to, part of being in your true power and sovereignty is knowing, and absolutely 1,000,000% knowing your soul path, your divine partner, the connection you have is solid, who you are to each other, everything, like in the physical. And if you can still be derailed by that or unsure by that or whatever, well, then you're still coming from a state of, healing that you need to do, wounding, trauma, uncertainty, maybe it's low worthiness, lack of worthiness, low self-esteem, so not paying attention to what you're truly feeling, being in your head too much because you're resistance or, running, whatever it is. So in a sense, as we know, Spirit will always put things in our path and obstacles to help us grow and evolve, and people to help us grow and evolve. And we're the ones that have to stand up and know our sovereignty and know how we feel. And we might know how we feel, but we might be still in an afraid state of not following how we feel. And that's when we've got to go deeper, because we go, well, I know this is real, but why am I not, why am I doing this, or da-da-da. And that's when you've got to go deeper in your own healing to get there. So, and then once you do, you'll realise that nobody can change how you feel, or nobody can bring any sense of uncertainty to how you feel, or what not even just how you feel, like your true soul knowing. It's like when you're truly connected to your spirit and who you are, nobody can change that, but when you're not and you're disconnected, anybody can change that, because you're not in your own power and you've given your power away to someone else. When people want validation, when they want, someone to tell them it's real, or when they want someone to tell that, and that's seeking externally. And so it's a disconnection. It's disconnected from yourself and your spirit, and your higher self will always direct you back to yourself, because everything is internal, not external. And external is a product of your internal. So if if something's going on in your external world, or it's shitty, or you're depressed, or you're not happy, or whatever, everything is an external. Everything in the external is a product and creation of your internal. So that's where you have to go in and face stuff. And until you face it and not ignore it, even if you know it's there, and work on it, then it'll just keep creating that external stuff that you're not happy with, or that you're not liking in your life. So anyway, guys, gosh, I'm up to 40 minutes already. I'm going to leave it there. And I don't know what I'm going to entitle this, but basically, let's get back to what this video audio is truly about. And these divine couples do exist. You just have to really go within and know if that's your role here on the planet at the time. And if it is, and you've listened to this, I hope it's inspired you to step more into your power and internal work, and not listen to the external or narratives or any comments you get from anybody or anything like that, and truly take back your power and go move ahead, because you get one chance at this, guys. Life is fleeting on this earth, and we are here to really transcend a lot of shit. It's a powerful role, but you can do it because you wouldn't have signed up for it if you couldn't. Your higher self, your contract, your blueprint, you wouldn't have done it if you knew you couldn't do it. Okay, so always believe and trust that. Gosh, I've had my moments. Definitely haven't had it all together. I've had my moments in the past where I've been suicidal, where I'm like, do I want to leave? Do I want to do this? I've always known that I was an original, well, I didn't know to call it an original angelic, but I always felt like I was always more connected to the angelic realms. And I always felt I was more connected to the mastery of my soul as a master angelic, but absolutely scared to step into that. And I was the biggest people pleaser and the biggest, listen to everybody and trusted everybody. I was very naive. I was very gullible. My heart led, in the sense that but it led from like a fear of just, okay, well, I'll just do this and agree with all that, and I'll help this person. And, I was just, some of you might be able to resonate with this. But so absolutely, we're here to do this work. And this is the time to really step into your power this year. I know there's been much talk about it other years to do that, but that has all been leading up to this year, and even moving forward, after this year. But definitely this year is the year of taking back your sovereignty and moving into your power, the divine feminine, the sacred feminine is what I like to actually call it, and the sacred masculine. And individually and together, and really bringing these beautiful sacred codes in, achieving that, and having that beautiful, incredible ripple effect out to the world. This is not new age blah blah crap. This is not anything like this. I've never called myself new age. I think they cross over sometimes authentically in different areas, absolutely, but that from a higher perspective you can see that, and from a higher perspective you can also discern what has been indoctrinated and what hasn't. So this is the authentic spiritual path. Take back your power, and don't be afraid, and let's do that. Okay, lovelies, I'm going to go now, and if you've listened and got this far, thank you so much. And I appreciate you, and in such gratitude, and take care and have a wonderful day. Okay, sending lots of love to everyone out there, and your beautiful souls, allow them in to take the driver's seat and drive forward. Okay, bye-bye.